Okay, today is hard disk recovery day, and I don't know if this one's going to work or not. This is an old drive, belongs to somebody. Lots of photographs and whatever else. This was an actual backup drive, and the backup drive died. So whenever they needed it, they think something went wrong whenever they tried to plug it into the machine. So what I did was I've done a search online for the replacement card. We think it's the card that's broken. It spins up and all the rest of it. And what I've managed to do is get a replacement board for it. You can't just swap them in. There's some chips to replace and whatever else. But my only question is, this one is already USB and this one is a SATA drive, serial drive. So we're going to have a go. We're going to have a go and swap it over and see if we can get it to work and get the data back off it again. So this might be quite a silent one while I put my bits and pieces on and just go about swapping things. Bits and pieces we'll be doing here is a bit of micro soldering. I might talk us through that as we go. I think there's only one chip to swap, and the reason we do that is because that chip holds information about this disk. The chip on the board holds information about this disk, so we have to move that to this board so this board then knows where to find things on that disk. Does that make sense? It's a kind of security thing, I suppose, but it just means that you can't just swap it over directly. So these cards just rely on there's like a little gold tabs here. And so, and also on over here, there's four there for the motor, so they go onto these little tabs. So they're literally just held on with the screws. So when all you do is put that on, screw it down tight, and that's it, all connected. So let me just get that out of the way. And this is a chip we want here. It's going to be a tricky one to unsolder because right beside it, let me just get this up and hopefully we'll focus on it. Come on. This is the chip we want off. This is a component. Come on, focus. Yeah, not much light, I'm afraid. I'm standing in the light as well. You can see the tiny little component that's there. That's just absolutely minute. So I've got to try and desolder this one without desoldering all that. Not going to be easy, but we can reconstruct it if it goes horribly wrong. Just going to put it in the pan of ice here. Okay, just gripping the board in the pan of ice here, and then we're going to start adding flux and get the micro soldering underway. When he was talking earlier on, he was talking about the chip that we need to take off and what it does. And the easiest way to describe it is that if your hard disk, the hard disk that's in there with all the data on it, if that's your world, and at one part of that disk there is a map of the world. But what happens is, you remember the maps of old where it said here be dragons? Well, basically in that chip, what it does is when it discovers a dragon on the thing, in other words, when something goes wrong with the hard disk, it stores where a little map reference for where that bad part is on that chip. That means that once you've swapped the card over from one drive to the old drive, it'll remember what those map references are for your data. Otherwise, you won't get anything off it. So now we're just putting the screws back into it again, and next thing will be to stick it onto the computer and hope that it works. That'll be the next thing. Okay, it's a little bit later in the day, so I have here this is the drive we changed the board on earlier on, so it's now gone from a USB drive to a SATA drive with all the connectors on there. So I'm just going to put it into this caddy here, and we're going to actually, I'm just going to bring it up on the screen here first. Okay, so if this is successful, I'm just going to power it on. We should see the drive appear somewhere on here. It'll take, oh, you boy, you. Oh, super. So if we go into it, and there's all the files, loads of them. Isn't that fantastic? Super job. Oh, there's millions. So I'll get all those backed up, and job done. We have all the files back. Brilliant job. Job done.